Nice to have you here, Amy.
Nice to meet you.
Sis.
Nice to meet you, brother.
This is the Founders Edition of Market Movers, 10-year anniversary. Oh, man. It's been a wild ride.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever flipped the script on ourselves before.
No, but it's nice. It's nice to tell our story, and I think that people are excited to hear this. I think people want to hear this, the way content's going and evolving. It's better to be more vulnerable, authentic, and genuine
Real.
online. Yeah, real. So, to get started, I just wanted to talk about our decade of achievement and just talk about, everything that we've done and how we've evolved in the past 10 years and get your perspective and my perspective. And
well, we wouldn't be here without you. Let's just put it that way. You are the visionary behind VCA, really. I mean, you have created everything. You've set up everything that we have. You've pushed so hard. And even at such a younger age, we were both so much younger then and where we are now, but you really pushed, I think, for us to be here creatively. So I think VCA, the V is Vincent.
The A is Amy, though.
Yeah. And the C was Chester.
Oh.
Our little mascot for a while.
R.I.P. little guy. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about, your story, your background before VCA and what inspired you.
Well, I think that what inspired me to work with you was the fact that you were doing a lot of what I was doing. We found that out real quick, And so what was exciting about it all was that I was in an agency mindset prior to all this, and I didn't ever think I'd be doing an agency after the fact, So it was kind of just a bit, I don't know, to me, it's still hard to grasp that we run an agency because the idea in my head was that I could never do that or aspire to be that. And as a woman or a girl at the time, in business, I did not think that I'd be able to even take that leap. It takes a lot of courage and accountability and just putting your best, everything into it.
Yeah.
So my background, as a lot of people know, was in the agency mindset, in agency background, and also working in editorial for a magazine. So I come with that mindset a lot, right, for VCA. And I've had the opportunity to work with lots of national and global brands and helping build their strategy for content.
What type of brands? Can you talk about that or?
Yeah. No, I can. I think that it's part of of my fabric of who I am and has become kind of what I've done. But I will say this today, that was who I really had pride myself in being part of those brands. But today I feel like VCA is the brand that I was most proud of, But they've included everything from Shea Homes, Enjoy Hair Care, Soup Plantation, and A6 America was one of the biggest ones I got to work with. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And so what was your takeaway from working with these big corporate clients?
Well, I've always said that social media is a bit like managing Oz, like the Wizard of Oz. You're under this a bit of a facade, a veil. You're this small person running this massive organization or this company, but at the same time, you have to really believe in that company and put yourself in that in their shoes to be able to man this large, gigantic Goliath, of a business. So when I was running A6 America at the time, they were the top 3 shoe company in the world. And I remember never being able to put my phone down, never being able to really take a nap or sleep during a weekend. I was constantly managing and communicating. One person running thousands of communication. And so I think
that social media was a lot different at the time, right?
There was not a lot of automation, and it was a lot of doing everything from scratch and posting everything live, as we call it, or on the fly or on the go. So my big takeaway was that they really needed a person to know the brand, and be the voice of it and care about it. And yet they really trusted people like the agency I was in to do that. And to have that one person, me, at the time, 26, 25-year-old girl run that company, and also customer service and speaking to different people about, at the time, shoes. So it was a lot of...
Yeah, and that was always inspiring to me as your brother and business partner, obviously, looking at your accomplishments and what you did within the industry and how you had to manage so much. So I mean, it was an honor to start a business with you at the time.
I think the thing I took away from that account, and the reason I really felt proud and able to apply that to VCA and to actually the agency I worked at after, was that I got commissioned to write their global marketing strategy for the shoe brand, the roadmap for them. And that was like, wow, you trust me to write a roadmap for you? You should be giving me that roadmap because tell me what to do. But I came up with ideas and concepts and things, and that. But then, it was paper. It was a piece of paper. It was like maybe 40 pages of paper. Where now with you and with our team, you create it visually. And that's why we've always marketed a visual content strategy, because you come with that. And so that, I feel like, well, talk about yourself, not about me, but you started in obviously videography, but what really transpired you to want to take this leap of faith?
Yeah, I think I was always that type of person that wanted to take risks in life, and I always just felt like it was a good thing to be your own boss. So I mean, I've always been like a freelancer, I think. I never really had that corporate type of position, but I loved production, and I always loved telling stories for people. And I think that I just always had an eye, and that just resonated with all the people that I've ever worked with. I was able to like see through their story, as well as see the scene around me, and like how I could like take it out and put it on, film.
What were some of the things that you were really passionate about before VCA, the achievements?
Yeah, so I mean, I started in freelance production, and then I got an opportunity to work for a lifestyle clothing brand in Carlsbad, and I was able to help them grow their production and their social media content. And then from there, again, going back to the freelance mentality of starting my own business and then working with multiple different clients at the same time, managing their production. So I was always just like managing so many different types of people and like ideas, and always just like getting thrown like something like ad hoc is how you say it, and it was never really structured, but it was always just like create something that engages with someone. And so it was always really challenging to think of stuff on the fly. And at the time, Instagram was only like 15 seconds, so it was always like thinking of something within such a short amount of time, because they saw Instagram as like the new thing on the block.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
Remembering it now.
So it was like a lot to think of a brand video within 15 seconds. And that was pretty much my specialty, was creating brand videos, doing live documentation for different artists and influencers, and then also just running gun type shooting for events, so.
And concerts and different big festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my favorite video you ever made was, it started with the lifestyle brand. It was like a sketch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, I remember that one.
And then it evolved.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. Like, it was just mind-blowing at the time. I don't think anybody, at least in our community, had seen something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. And then you had this really cool, like, sound, and it just played into it just climactically played.
Yeah.
And I remember that video and I was like, that is really good. You know? It was like you were CapCut before CapCut.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it.
I mean, the goal is always to be like really cinematic, I think. And that was something that I had to kind of let go more recently, I think, with it being like that new concept of lo-fi, where it's like low quality, but still like there's still intent within it. I think giving up on a lot of the cinematic approach, but still the same workflows are involved in today's content creation of like storytelling. You still need a story. You still need a script. You still need a subject. That's never going to change.
I know, it's almost just as much work, but but less time shooting.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Gives people like me a chance. It gives people like me a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, some of the stuff I post, but versus what you post, it's not even close.
But I think, you having the agency mindset and then me having that production mindset, we both came in inspired. Mm-hmm. I think we were just like, this isn't really 100% who I am. And then I don't really feel like it was 100% who you were either. I think you were yearning to be your own person.
I just love social media.
Yeah.
I started teaching myself social media in no, not 20, 2009. So I'm like, oh my God, not even 20s, it's 2009. And I remember just thinking, this is going to be big, this is going to be different. This is life changing. And it's the same mentality we have now with AI.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be a big deal.
Well, and that kind of goes into the next topic of like evolving, the evolution of our market currently. Like where are we headed? What have we seen? What have we learned? And AI is definitely coming in. Yeah. It's just constantly educating and finding the newest resource to help you get the job done efficiently. That's really it, because there's going to be a bubble with this AI industry. And I think that people are just kind of confused on like what to use. Like what's the best thing to use?
Yeah.
There really is no best thing to use at the moment.
We don't think so.
No.
Yeah. It's just kind of finding what works.
Yeah. What gets your job done the quickest?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. Someone told me recently, a friend of mine, she uses AI, interestingly enough, for certain things creatively. And she was saying how I asked her, do you think they can take over like us, AI, these robots? Like, what do you think? Just curious what anyone thinks. And she's like, no, because everybody is individualistic and everybody is going to take that AI and now they're going to emulate it for what they believe in. Yeah. Let's say you're going on Sora or you're going on Midjourney. Yeah. When you're going on those and you're telling it to do something for you, you're prompting it from your imagination still. Sure. So it's still from your perspective.
Yeah. It's very true. So after 10 years, the consumer behavior of everything that we've seen and learned, I mean, like you said, there's machine learning, but then there's also human learning. And like, what did we learn from the past 10 years, this past decade, the consumer behavior on social media? How has it evolved and how has our company adapted to it in your perspective?
Yeah, we've had to evolve. I mean, it's asset-based. So you have to have the images to create something or the video to create something. And then those have evolved, right? And I think also the way writing I don't know if people know this, but I'm more involved in the writing aspect, editorial-wise, and you're more creative, right? We've always thought of ourselves as like two houses, social house and the video house, or house of video, house of social, house of video. So I think dynamically from a copy perspective, I'll speak on more than creative, is that copy has evolved in terms of how we write it, how we speak it. It went from short to like, I see, a really cool, here's my coffee, hashtag coffee, to having a story behind it in some captions. To now with Reels, it's just back to kind of where it was, like quick, bite-sized, instant. So I think it really has evolved in terms of just getting people to, learn how to create content on there. People are trying to learn how to adapt to the platform.
I mean, and a lot of these platforms too, they do give you the answers if you listen. If you have your eyes open, your ears open, because they do. I mean, you have to compile all of these different little tidbits that they give you throughout. Like, I mean, even TikTok at one point was saying an app for 60-second or 90-second videos right when he logged in. Oh. So it's almost like your eyes are wide shut kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like right in front of you. Like just listen to the platform. If you made a 90-second video every day. Yeah. You're like, that was 15 seconds. But I mean, that's the thing about what we do is that we have to take all of the content that we make and we have to then dissect it in a way that fits each individual platform. And it's not just posting a 1-minute video across all platforms now.
People think that still, and that boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Just, can you create like 3 pieces of content real quick and then post it? Yeah, okay. 3 pieces of content translates to X,
Yeah.
9 pieces probably, depending on their channels, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's all about strategy in the beginning, right? And we'll stick to that to the end of the earth.
Yeah, so explain a little bit.
Yeah, so at VCA, the visual content strategy has evolved. And it started, again, like I said, a little bit more a written approach to creating this breakdown for clients. They'd come in, we'd meet with them, we'd have a brainstorm session, and then we'd audit what they said. And one of the things that we do is really dissect their goals, their vision, where they're going with this process. People think that is a production process. No, that's the beginning of the initial idealism of what they want. But the production, which we'll get to in a second with you, is the second part of the strategy. And that is the visual content strategy. In my opinion, it's the combination of the strategy and the production timeline and the plan of creating the assets and the visual content plan, roadmap, how we're going to get there, I've always said. But that's not just for one video, that's for a year or whatever the retainer for us, is with the client, the plan and the budget for a long-term, goals for them. So all the content, everything we create has reason behind it, rhyme and reason to it. And to me, the rhyme is the visual and the reason is the strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's 3 phases, but the second phase being production isn't actually as important, but then it could happen simultaneously.
It always has, really, right? I mean, every time we produce a strategy or a brief, you're thinking of how we're going to produce that strategy or brief.
That's how we kind of have been efficient for clients, cost efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not waiting for the strategy to be done. We're working side by side to make sure that the strategy and the production can get done in a timely manner.
But when we say strategy, I think we want clients and our colleagues and people in the industry to understand what VCA does different is that our strategy is not only creating, like I said, one asset, we're looking at it across a calendar spectrum and we're looking at it socially and digitally. And then this content strategy can fit into web, blog, and newsletter, different mediums, but we primarily focus on social, right? So the social and the channel strategy is one aspect of a content strategy, but this content strategy can be thematic, it can be creative, it can be campaign-based. It just depends what it is, but now we're fitting it into more of a production plan because of TikTok and Reels.
It kind of takes all of their assets and it organizes it and categorizes it based off the strategy topics and themes, which is what people I feel like are always lost on. It's like, I have all of this content, what do I do with it? But our team comes in and we manage that and we create those tags.
You spark something to me is that this is a newer mechanism of the strategy because that was not really how it used to be when we first started.
No.
They didn't have assets and they didn't have things. They wanted you to create this big glamorous production and then break that into segments and figure out where you're going to put it, right?
Like the campaign mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of hindered us in the beginning is because we knew that they needed more than just a brand video.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Well, our service list, I'll never forget, it was so avant-garde, crazy, wild, in my opinion, to people at the time. They're like, what are you talking about? And we had this series of really cool services around social video. People did not understand what the heck that was even talking about now. Today, it would just be amazing. We could just pull it back out. But even then, it's a bit dated.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idealism was fun, but the realistic approach that we then created within our client base built trust.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, they're just getting straight to the point. They're not beating around the bush. Like, it's almost like when you fluff something up too much, you almost sound like you're not capable.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we pivoted from Relativity to VCA, because the VCA mentality was just straightforward. We're straight shooting,
I think, it was very honest.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's something that we had to learn the hard way.
And then I think we got our first stab, with our client that is still today, 8 years later, one of our largest clients, Westpac Avocado being our largest client and being their agency partner, digital media partner, digital marketing partner, is just something that has transformed our company because we have been trusted, like you said, with the creative and strategic, ability to help man their marketing operations, which is something that not a lot of small teams like ours get.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're very grateful for that client. And I think that's one good thing about our company is that we've always retained clients for a very long time, where it wasn't like just project mindset or campaign mindset. Although, we do want to incorporate that within the strategies. But I think the annual retainer model and then the visual content strategy itself has helped drive these clients to large impressions, great brand awareness.
Well, one thing to point out about a content strategy approach that maybe is evolving. I'm not going to lie, it is evolving, but not necessarily evolving from our clients and what we have for them. But one of the things is that it's just been like focused heavily on kind of like a funnel approach. We're looking to see their target audience, who they're wanting to speak to, and we're analyzing all of that. And so a lot of times, maybe we don't have million followers on Instagram, but we're meeting the target audience and the organic reach. And I think that organic mentality is what we've always prided ourselves in, is being an organic agency for content production and content creation.
So how do you think that we can still uphold that in the future with all these current trends happening? Like how do you imagine it still staying organic?
Yeah, I think that organic is an open-ended word. So organic, kind of, in my opinion, organic means something that is not paid. So I think if you're utilizing any tools not paid, resources, or asking your client for budget to create paid media push, then you're looking at any medium from our agency to develop content organically in some medium, in some regard. So we might use AI to develop content, but it's not necessarily a paid media push. So we're still an organic agency, even if we use AI content creation, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think organic content creation is always going to be necessary to tell the story. I think it's always like a storytelling perspective and a brand perspective.
What are your thoughts with the increasing level of ability to create assets on AI? What do you think is going to be the next, trend, or what the next push?
Yeah, I think with AI, it's actually going to weed out the real creatives, storytellers, and then the people that are just yes men saying they can do it all. With AI, it has this tone and this look that right off the bat, isn't really natural to the human eye. So it's going to take a real creator to like take the AI content and make it look natural.
It's going to show.
Yeah, it's going to show. And if you're just a full AI agency, just generating prompts and generating, captions and generating images, and that's what you're selling, you're probably going to be selling it for very cheap, and that's why people are like, well, I can go over here and get some affordable content. Why would I come to your agency? Well, our agency is human. We're humanizing content. We're building connections. We're real. Everything about us, like you said, is organic, and that's what builds the communities. That's what builds engagement. So I think it's just trying to figure out how we can balance a little bit of both so that we're still relevant, but at the same time, don't fall behind.
Well, I think that plays into our current website model. And I think that our current website, for me personally, was a little bit hard to grasp initially because I came from this agency mindset where we talked about our story a lot. But right now is what we're offering on our website. I agree with you that we need to learn how to adapt and evolve with both, because time is of the essence. Time is everything.
Yeah.
Time is how you think about strategy. So without action and deadlines, how are you going to create things? And if you can create a beautiful AI campaign, enhance it and develop it and pitch it within 90 days or 120 days, you're going to win over the other team that didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. And that kind of takes us back to time, right? Like what you're saying, starting this agency and starting a business, it was always based off of managing our time. Looking back 10 years, it was a long road trying to manage our time and trying to figure it all out.
There's a lot of Instagram posts right now saying retainer model is dead, blah, blah, blah. I see those things. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with a lot of the things I see. Yeah. And maybe I'm old school and I'm just going to be that like old grumpy lady that doesn't agree with a lot of this stuff and just stuck in my ways. Yeah. But the reason I believe that time is very valuable to every agency, and every agency should never lose track of their time, is because you can output more and maximize your time, and so you want to utilize your team, you want to utilize your resources, and then you can become more affordable. If you're just like laissez-faire, maybe we'll create this, then you're never going to really succeed at bringing on more people. We're a small team. I think at the end of the day, it's that we have used a lot of manpower and resources in our own brain and our own time to create this and run the clients we've had.
Yeah, at the end of the day, those campaigns that you're seeing online of people telling you like retainer models are dead and all that stuff, there's specific sales campaigns targeted towards people that are desperate.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a snake oil salesman, like, just trying to sell you like something really quickly. So, I mean, if you put it out there to like 10 million people, I mean, you're bound to get one person.
It's the Wild West right now again. And I think, but it's a unique time in history that maybe never will be back. And I think they're smart in some ways, of course, right? But I think we're smart too, and that we have a new trajectory. And what I was gonna say was that with the model that we've developed now about bulk content creation, we're not just creating something super fast and pushing it out. And I hope that's not how it transpires, but that we are actually looking at how to create content in a timely manner. And maybe that is what I really want people to take away, from this.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a good pivot too to even change the bulk mentality into like what you're saying, just genuine. Like, we want to make content in a timely manner. Just be straight shooting with it again, So it's kind of sometimes we fall into the trend of using these keywords, but I think sometimes we got to just go back to who we are. Yeah. And that's what got us here. So, anticipating future trends and continuing to evolve as an agency, I think our perspective is to continuously tell stories, right? Like that storytelling aspect, and humanize the content, like you've always said. And I think, what are some of the memories that you've had in the past that like got us here?
Yeah, I think it's just been every single business owner has a story. They started it just like we did. So when you bring it back full circle, it's getting to live a life in their shoes for a moment when you are like on production, which I actually wouldn't have had a chance to do if it wasn't for working with you.
Yeah, I mean, just continuously being able to tell people's stories has always been very inspiring. It's always cool to hear like where they came from, because we're not just agency, owners, we're business owners. So, I mean, on the agency side, we had to create a model and a process and a team, but then at the same time, we had to learn business.
I think that not every business owner is a salesperson. Not every business owner is a creative. You just own something, right? And you just say you own it. And it's so much more than people think. And it's doable, but being a business owner, like you said, still to this day, it never gets old.
They're going to teach you everything in school about business, but I don't think they're going to ever like teach you some of the experiences we've been through.
I went through school, right, in college. You know more than me at running a business. I think even to this day still, you're still so much more on top of it when it comes to like the things, the things within our business. Like, I feel that you grasp it faster. And I think it's because you're not clouded by certain ways or thoughts, of how to do something. And I have this like perfectionist mentality. And I think you're more like, we just got to get it done,
Risk.
Yeah. And that's always been
But calculated risk.
Yeah, very calculated.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. So, but it's good though for me, because I'm willing to take the risk, but you're willing to just like kind of take the second to calculate it, and then it makes me calculate it. Yeah. But I think that, naturally it's a balance. So, but this is great. I feel like we've really dived deep into our history and, where we've came from. And I know we have so many more stories to tell. And I think that this next year is going to be great for us, because that's our plan, right?
Yeah. I'm excited. I think we've earned that ability now to share our stories. Yeah. You're a bit shy in the beginning, like you don't want to just put yourself out there. Yeah. And you're very humble. And initially, I mean, most people are. Some people.
But I mean, this is the year for content, I think, in my perspective. And I think that if you are looking to get on social media and tell your story, this is the year to do it, because it's getting saturated. But it's also, the people that start now are going to have an opportunity to potentially be that person they want to be on social media in the near future. So
people have evolved. I mean, you're talking from my era. Now it's so weird. There's an era of Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, Twitter.
MySpace. I'm just kidding.
MySpace, maybe top 8. Okay. I mean, now it's obviously completely different. You're teaching me a lot of things. I mean, what do you think is the next big trend for social specifically?
I think that everyone is going to have to be their own brand. I think that individuality is going to stand out on social media, and it's not going to be like creating necessarily a brand name to hide behind. It has to be your name, because I think it's going to be all about social currency. It's like who has the most followers, who, like, how do you utilize your following in your community to help you grow? I mean, that's what a lot of these big brands are doing. And you see like huge influencers like Mr. Beast, like just creating a burger company out of nowhere, out of thin air, because he can, but he drives his following to purchase. That's his social currency. Yeah. I mean, it turns into real dollars.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, obviously Gary Vee is someone I really am inspired by, and I think that he puts out like a lot of the authenticity behind his messaging, like you said in the beginning. And I think that you have to be able to put that out there, but you have to be faster than you've ever been before. Again, back to time, you have to have content now from your iPhone, from commercial grade content. You have to have sales-driven content. You have to have, content is not just content. And people really need to understand that it's a diverse bunch. If you're looking at putting out a brand, you're not just putting out yourself every given day. You have to think of other models to drive traffic, to drive sales. There's a lot of different options now, but you also have to implement most of them.
I love what Gary Vee says. Don't be one-dimensional online.
Yeah.
Because what happens if TikTok goes down? And you were only on TikTok.
Yeah.
You never cross-posted to Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just one-dimensional. You could have been two-dimensional the whole time.
Like, I'm just a TikTok. I just like TikTok. Or I just like Instagram. I'm never going to go on TikTok, or LinkedIn, really.
Never going to go online.
Yeah. Well, in that case, you might be good in the very far future for robots and things.
But no, this is great. I'm excited to see what the future, lies for our company and for us personally and our brands, and just, continue to grow but always have that authenticity behind our stories.
Yeah, that's the one thing no one can ever take away from you is your story. So, if, we have ours, and I think that we've earned, like I said, the right to tell our story now. But I think at the same time, we also can always carry that with us, and it will help us evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Well, it's been so good working with you, Vincent.
It's been good working with you.
I know you love working with me.
All righty. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.